All right, Coach. As Jill just said, it's a rivalry game this weekend. How are you instructing the players to keep their heads cool in such a tense and contested game?
Yeah, I mean, touch wood, we haven't had any problems from a disciplinary point of view in this game, or in many games really. So I think that bit doesn't concern me. We want the players to be up for the game. I think if you approach games like this, you want it to be as normal as possible, but I think you have to pay respect to the fact that it is a derby game, the intensity levels, the emotion of the game. We saw it in the game at the end of last season when I think Vargas got sent off, and it was tense. It was emotional. You've got to keep your heads. You've got to have ice running through your veins, and you've got to play the game and not the occasion. And we've got to make sure that we do have ice running through our veins on Saturday. It's going to be a fantastic game. They always are. They're always really good occasions of what I've experienced, and Saturday will be no different. The fixture gods have set the last two seasons up where we've played Seattle in the last game and the penultimate game, so sets it up nicely.
The Seattle game last year, that was when we really saw the real debut of Finn, and for him to make a presence on your guys' back end. Where have you seen the growth from him in that game, and since that game, and what were maybe some of your concerns when he was young and making that debut? Like, what did he need to work on?
Yeah, I mean, I think when we first signed him, we had a sort of like a long-term plan where we were going to slowly bed him in, and I think in those first 2 or 3 months there was a real sort of like inexperience, naivety, shy boy. And what I would say in terms of when we got towards the end of the season, he was pushing and pushing because his performance levels was just so consistent. And when we put him into that game, we put him in at exactly the right time where we felt he was never going to fail. When you put young players into situations, you put them into a situation where you're almost safeguarding failure. And we firmly believe that was the right moment. I think what we saw coming out of that game and what we've seen coming into this season is that after that game, it probably changed our whole recruitment process a little bit in terms of looking for a centre-back in that off-season. We were looking for a centre-back to play next to Zupa, next to Kamal, and all of a sudden we thought, oh Lord, we have one. We have one in the building. And what we've seen this season, we've seen just a consistent level of behaviour, performance, attitude. And when you talk about players that are going to go right to the very top, those qualities I think are as good as any qualities that you need to have.
Hey, Coach. What type of challenges does Seattle present? Obviously, going on the road into a hostile environment, but a really good team that's battling for playoff position as well.
Outstanding team, brilliant experience, some really good young players, a cohesive, settled, consistent unit that know exactly what they're doing, know exactly what they have to do. I always think with Seattle that when you think that they're hitting a little bit of a wobbly patch, they always tend to know how to win games of football at the most important time. And I think if you look at the Western Conference, apart from probably LAFC and maybe Dallas, every other team is probably going through the same period at this moment in time. From San Diego at the top down to probably San Jose down in 10th, 11th, 12th. Everybody is just probably crawling over the line in that last little bit of the marathon. And I said after the game on Saturday that I thought we were crawling. We're crawling in terms of the points, but I don't think we're crawling in terms of the performance levels. Our performance levels, our energy, our health is really good, even though we've got 2 or 3 injuries that probably are touch and go for Saturday. I feel as if we are on one branch, we're striding towards the end of the season. We're playing really good football. The other bit, the crawling bit, is more the points accumulation over the last 4 or 5 games.
2 for me. The first one to kind of build off of that. You've had some games where you've had late leads. How do you try and get over the finish line? And then the second would be kind of the things you mentioned in the post game. Rojas picking up a knock. Jim Rafori came on and was able to play in the second half. How are they heading into this match?
Yeah, well, I think the game management over the last 2 games, the best way to deal with game management is to be 2-0 up in the game, and then you don't have to really game management. I always think that, I think games when we should be 2 or 3 up, then you don't have to go into the last 10 minutes backs against the wall, a little bit of naivety and experience and nervousness. So I think killing off games has been probably our kryptonite this season in a way. But there is going to be times, there will be times, hopefully going into the off season, when we're going to have to see out games. We're going to have to be, camped in, seeing out games, using experience, being sensible, running the ball into the corners, and just being sensible with our play. And that's something that's cost us in the last 2 games.
How does the experience of a guy like Maxime kind of help you guys as you enter the late season stretch?
Maxime Crepeau? Yeah, I mean he's experienced. He's been to an MLS Cup final. He's won in this league. I always think with the likes of Max and Diego Chara, those that have been the distance at this stage of the season, I always think that they just remain real consistent, real calm. There's no massive ups, there's no massive downs. They don't come into work and start shouting. They don't come into work after a defeat or a draw, sulking. They know that you've just got to run the course. You've just got to be consistent in everything that they do. And with Max, whether he's in the team or he's not in the team, his level of performance and behaviours remain the same. So we are very lucky to have 2 outstanding keepers. We've got 2 Canadian number 1s, 2s, and 3s, if you know what I mean. So, and Max is ready to play.
There you go.
No entiendo.
Profe, tengo 2 preguntas porque
I don't speak Spanish, my friend.
Porque si no me dejan preguntarle 2. Usted que jugó en Manchester United y jugó esos clásicos allá, ¿cómo se va a vivir este clásico? ¿Qué tan importante es para el equipo de Portland? ¿Y por qué usted está tan confiado en que van a calificar para los playoffs?
Sí, esos partidos son más importantes para los aficionados. El primero es los aficionados. Luchamos, todos los equipos en el mundo en un clásico, luchamos para los aficionados, para la gente que después del partido iremos a un pub o una escuela para hablar sobre nuestro equipo para ganar. Entonces es un partido grande para nuestros aficionados y es un partido grande para los jugadores y yo también. A mí me gustan esos partidos porque cuando llegamos al estadio la sensación es diferente, el campo es diferente, el ambiente es diferente en esos partidos. Entonces es porque cada día me levanto cada día para jugar, para entrenar, para manejar esos partidos.
Unas cosas.
Tenemos otra pregunta.
¿Por qué está tan confiado?
Tengo mucha confianza en este momento porque el último año en esos partidos mi sensación no fue bien porque no hubo mucha energía en el equipo, falta confianza en el equipo, pero en este momento mi sensación, me siento mi equipo está en una buena sensación, es un buen momento para entregar. En ese momento, esa sensación para mí es mejor que otro. Gracias.
All right. Last question from me. With the Timbers having not lost in Seattle since 2017,
Jeremy.
does that
Man.
does that historical record?
Rephrase the question. With a really good results in Seattle. Yeah.
With that,
Let's just go.
does that historical record provide any confidence to a new group of players many of whom haven't played in Seattle yet?
Yeah, well, I mean, I always think with the younger players that come into a club, they probably don't even know what our record's like in Seattle when we go up to the young players nowadays. Particularly when you come into football, you only think about what's happening today. You don't think about what happened 3 years ago or when Dairon scored a penalty in a playoff game, for instance, or whatever. They don't care about it. They don't think about it. The young generation, I was young, you've been young. You only think about today. What am I going to have for lunch in about 20 minutes' time? They're only thinking about their lunch. what they're going to do this afternoon, who they're going to play against on I don't know what they play on nowadays, the PSPs or whatever. So they're thinking about this is an important game for the fans. They're thinking about how good a game it's going to be on Saturday. But you ask him about a result 5 years ago to David Da Costa, he would probably look at you with the most emptiest glare in the world. So I think what Diego Chara, yeah, he will probably be thinking he will be passing us passing on his experience. Zach McGrath will be passing on his experience. Look, guys, we have a good record here. We do well against this team. We raise our level against this team. We've got to do X, Y, Z. But for the younger players in the team, I don't think they have a clue what's going on in the next 20 minutes, never mind in the next 3-4 days.